Yo, what is up guys? Daleboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Teofimo Lopez defeats Steve Claggett to retain his WBO Super Lightweight title and Lineal Super Lightweight title. Now this was a fight in which Teofimo Lopez was in control of for the most part. Steve Claggett came in there with a game plan of trying to crowd Teofimo Lopez behind his high guard, and the guard of Steve Claggett was actually pretty decent. He did a pretty good job of defending himself, and he was really boxing behind the jab as he was trying to move in. Once he got close, he would try to land clubbing shots to body and head. I actually felt the quality of his punches when he got Teofimo against the ropes or in the corner. I felt the quality of his punches were pretty poor. They were very clubbing and, kind of didn't really turn into the punches or anything like that. Arm punches more so. I felt Steve Claggett's best punch in this fight was his jab. He was constantly catching Teo with that shot. Whether he was leading with it, whether he was using it as a counter, whether he would add the jab to the combinations that he was throwing. The jab was the punch that was his most successful punch in this bout, actually marked up one of the eyes of Teofimo Lopez, but behind that jab, I felt the offense was pretty poor from Steve Claggett, to be honest with you. Never looked like he had a shot that could turn the tide. Teofimo was at times giving up ground, but he was walking Steve Claggett onto the lead and rear uppercut. Claggett was a pressure guy with a good guard, but he was kind of leaning forwards quite a lot to the point where his head was over his lead knee. So the uppercuts were there for Teofimo, and Teofimo took those shots. Good single punches. Teo also did a pretty good job at bodywork in this bout. Primarily the left hook to the body around the liver side of Steve Claggett. And I felt the bodywork actually slowed down Steve Claggett as this fight wore on, because Steve Claggett actually started pretty well in terms of offense, in terms of volume. Well, certainly in terms of volume. But I felt as this fight played out, he was getting a little less adventurous. Potentially the body shots were a part of that, but Teofimo primarily was picking single punches early on, and his punches were by far better quality, in my opinion. At times they would make Claggett back up. At times you would see a reaction from Claggett when he was getting caught by these shots, but Claggett was buzzed a few times, but never to the point to where you felt he was going to get knocked out, to be honest. He showed a good chin and showed a good defense, but Teo was the guy who was picking the harder shots. And at times he was using Claggett's front foot pressure against him. But, I felt Claggett maybe won a couple of rounds early on. I felt the commentary team were a little unfair on him. Just based on his volume, he may have won a couple of rounds. Interestingly, Teofimo actually tried to up his volume as well. So what he was doing was, he wasn't loading up on every single punch. He was throwing a lot more shots in this fight, half power or like 3/4 power. And he was trying to keep up with Claggett in terms of volume, and he actually did a pretty good job. I haven't seen the CompuBox stats, but from watching this fight, it looked like Teofimo's output was a lot higher in this bout, and he was able to maintain that. Claggett had an okay start. He was somewhat competitive, but still losing. But I felt after round 6, round 7, Teofimo started to take over. I felt that Claggett's output started to drop. He was becoming less and less adventurous. And you could tell that, I think he was starting to respect the speed, explosiveness, and power of Teofimo, particularly the uppercut, and particularly the left hook to the body. Claggett tried, though. He tried to apply pressure by using his feet and getting close to Teo. But in the second half, I don't think he was working hard enough with his hands. And Teo was really able to then kind of dictate this fight and really take control of it. I think in round 7, round 8, he buzzed Claggett with a lovely combination. And there was moments of class from Teofimo Lopez, but overall, you look at this fight, yeah, Teo won fairly, won clearly, but it was a workman-like performance by Teofimo. It was almost like, what this looked like was a good spar, basically. That's what this looked like, a good spar, where you have to work and whatnot. Your opponent gives you a little something to think about, but, that's what this fight looked like to me. Claggett, tough guy, good defense, but didn't really have the offense to me to really trouble Teo. Teo got the job done. Was he all that impressive? In my opinion, not really. Like I said, there were moments of class, but too few and far in between, in my opinion. And yeah, it is what it is. We'll see where he goes next. Hopefully we see a unification fight at 140. Maybe Isaac Cruz would be a good fight. Liam Paro. Not sure what Devin Haney's doing these days, but yeah, these are the sort of fights I want to see Teo in. Will we get those fights? I mean, we shall see. But yeah, I guess I'd grade it a C+ performance by Teo. He retains his title, and on to the next one. Not really too much to write home about this fight. If you haven't seen it, wouldn't really recommend it. Wasn't a great fight, but if you have a spare 5 minutes, give it a watch. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.